On this week's All-American, I'll share with you what the cost of freedom is.
Ron Miller Municipal Airport. Automated weather observation. Wind, calm. Visibility, 10. Sky conditions.
I'm Jeremy Walters, and I invite you to come along as we celebrate the freedom of general aviation in America.
MP Valley traffic, Luscombe 72037 is departing runway 20 Stampede Valley.
Last week I brought you along on a relaxing short flight from Georgetown to Temple.
On the upwind turn right crosswind, I've got runway 29 on the HSIN compass and pavement. Let's go.
To me, aviation is a joy like no other, and it is without a doubt a glorious freedom and privilege. Whatever passion in life you enjoy, whether it's flying or simply just enjoying a quiet evening by a stream, whatever it is, in our precious land we call America, we enjoy freedoms like nowhere else on the globe. Those freedoms are paid for with blood. Millions of men and women have given their lives on behalf of supporting and defending the rights of Americans. To honor those men and women, we celebrate an American holiday known as Memorial Day. It's the last Monday in May, and although it has been observed ever since the Civil War, Memorial Day became an official U.S. federal holiday in 1971. Every service member who has died protecting our nation has a story. Today, I share a story of one of my closest ties to a loss of one who paid the ultimate sacrifice. In 2010, I was going through Army aviation flight training at Fort Rucker, Alabama. I met Eric Cornelius. Eric has the same type of drive for defending America, love of aviation like I have, and we were next door neighbors. We clicked immediately. I was already a CFI in airplanes, and we were both there to learn to fly helicopters for the Army. The aviation bug had bit him years earlier when he was a teenager in an airplane, but he had never had the opportunity to pursue general aviation. That was until we met. He asked me to help train him for his airplane training simultaneously, so we started after it. One weekend before departing to deploy to Afghanistan, his brother, Lance Corporal Kevin Cornelius, came down to spend the weekend with him and his family before shipping off the theater. Eric and I got the awesome pleasure to take him and his dad up for a flight. I can remember it like it was yesterday. Kevin was grinning from ear to ear when he was flying with us. After completing the flight, I snapped this quick photo of him, his dad, and Eric standing by the 182 that we took up around Enterprise, Alabama. Tragically, as fate would have it, this would be the last photo ever taken of the three together. 2 days later, he left for Afghanistan. While Kevin was deployed, Eric and I got after his private pilot training. About midsummer, Eric mentioned that we should fly the same sky lane that we took his brother flying in to Cherry Point, North Carolina, to welcome his brother home. And I quickly agreed that this would be an awesome trip for sure, so we planned it. After knocking out all of Eric's private pilot airplane requirements and getting him ready, I scheduled him for his private pilot check ride. The date was set for August the 7th. We started out that early Saturday morning heading to Defuniak Springs, Florida, so he could meet the designated pilot examiner. Eric passed his check ride with flying colors and was a brand new minted private pilot. We were both extremely proud, and after that we flew back, both of us exhausted from the sprint of getting him ready for his check ride, and got ready to celebrate. Later that evening, however, he got the ominous call that no family member ever wants to get when a loved one is serving in a war zone. An Afghani detainee had escaped, obtained a weapon, and barricaded himself in a room. Kevin and several other Marines sprang into brave action to subdue the escapee, but Kevin was shot when entering the room from the enemy detainee. At 20 years old, not old enough to legally buy a beer, Lance Corporal Kevin Cornelius was killed in action. Kevin was brought home with a hero's welcome and was laid to rest in Arlington National Cemetery. After this, Eric and I grew incredibly close, and we helped push each other through Army flight training. We both became 864 Apache Longbow pilots, and both deployed to Afghanistan 2 years later ourselves, providing overwatch for our precious ground forces. This is just merely one story in a million of what the cost of guaranteeing our precious freedoms are. Memorial Day isn't about partying on the lake, grilling barbecue, a time to go to some neat water park or take a vacation. By all means, do those things. But do those things remembering why you get to do those things on that day off. America is an anomaly. It is the exception to the rest of the world. Nowhere else in the world is freedom quite the same as it is in America, and those freedoms are secured and guaranteed by the men and women that are willing to put themselves in harm's way to keep the fight in someone else's backyard instead of our own. It is not some overly used cliche to state that these men and women that give their lives for our country are the price of freedom. No different than the currency being backed by the gold in Fort Knox, the Bill of Rights that we as Americans enjoy and often take for granted are backed by the service members that live, breathe, and if need be, die for this country. So on this Memorial Day, enjoy the gift of freedom that is given to you, but take a moment to remember those who paid the price. That's all anyone should ever ask. No matter what your political views or differences may be, no matter what you stand for, exercising your rights as an American is giving the honor to those who paid for it, and those rights should never be taken for granted. The moment things are taken for granted is the moment that we lose things that we treasure. In no particular order, Captain J. Bernard. Second Lieutenant John Vaughn. Specialist Bradley Gruber. First Lieutenant Thomas Williams. Chief Warrant Officer 2 Jared Yoder. Sergeant First Class Toby Childers. Chief Warrant Officer 3 Stephen Cooley. Sergeant First Class Jason Smith. Chief Warrant Officer 3 Michael Tharp. Chief Warrant Officer 2 Alex Carabellian. Captain Daniel Whitten. Private First Class Michael Metcalf. Lance Corporal Kevin Cornelius. And to all the other millions of Americans who have given their lives.
flying airplane, son.
Next week, join Adam and I as we take a nice, relaxing father-son evening flight. Until next time, fly safe, keep learning, and never give up on a dream. So long.